Alright, so today we're going to be replacing the spark plugs in the 2011 Toyota Camry LE. It's a 4-cylinder. So one of the things you'll need is a socket and a 10mm socket. First thing we're going to do is remove the negative terminal from the battery before we get started on changing the spark plugs. So this is a 10mm socket. I'm going to go ahead and loosen this up. Just going to get it loose enough without taking it fully off to remove it so the connection isn't there. Alright. With that being said, we'll just go ahead and move that up to the side for now. Need to clean these terminals off as well. Alright, so now that we got that terminal off and out of the way, go ahead and do is remove the cover here. And this is as you can tell, there's not the head bolts like on some of the covers on the Toyota. So what I'm going to do is you just give this a good pull. It's like on their bottom, almost like a stud. Remove that, and then you'll have your 4 cylinders there. So typically you got a couple of choices here on your different connectors here. You can go ahead and remove those. The only bad part is if you break any of those tabs, then you're going to have to replace this whole connector. So my little trick to this is 10mm again. Go ahead and loosen all these up, and then when you're done loosening, go ahead and pull them all up at once, and that way you don't have to chance on breaking any of the tabs off the electrical components. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and we'll be right back. Alright, as you can see, I used the 10mm socket to remove each one of the bolts there. I went ahead and disconnected the electrical ports anyways, and I pulled each one of these out. So now what I'm going to do is take a socket with an extension, and it's going to be your 5/8 inch spark plug socket, which also has the rubber ring in there, so that helps you get it pulled out. So I'm going to get each one of these spark plugs pulled out after I insert it in here, loosen it, and we'll be right back. Alright, so we went ahead, removed all 4 spark plugs out of there. As you can see, the one on the left is obviously my old spark plug, the one on the right being my new spark plug. So what I'm going to do is take the new one, put it in here. I'm going to tighten it down till it's almost all the way tight, and then what I'll do is I'm going to use my torque wrench, and I'm going to torque it to 14 foot-pounds. So once I get those started by putting the spark plug into my socket, remember this is the 5/8 socket, so as you can see, just going to push it in there. And I'm going to do the other ones so you don't have to sit here and watch me do it. But go ahead and get that started. Tightening these down. So once I get all 4 of these tightened down, then I'm going to use my torque wrench at 14 foot-pounds. So I'll show you that as soon as I can get it done. Alright, so now that those are all tightened down to use my torque wrench to 14 foot-pounds, what I'm going to do is slide these bad boys back in to position, get them ready to bolt back down. This is going to be, again, you need your 10mm socket to tighten these back down. Get this crap out of the way. I don't know what this is from. Tighten these back down. So I'm going to take my 10mm bolts, get these all started. Okay, I need to grab my wrench. I'm just going to tighten this down. You ain't got to crank it down. Just make sure it's, snug. do it. I don't know, there might be a torque spec for this, but I'm not sure what it is, so I'm just putting them snug. Doing this with one hand's a little tricky here. Tighten that back down. Get a little closer just by hand. Get these one tightened out a little more closer so it's not a struggle doing it with one hand. Usually I have somebody that can videotape this while I'm doing it, but not such a luxury today. Alright, after I get those tightened back down, then what I'm going to do is reconnect my electrical, and you can see a tab just broke. This car is basically ain't brand new. Those things will just break off. So I connected this one. Sorry, I moved the camera down. Connected that one. Just got done connecting this one, making sure they're tight as possible since the tab broke. Like I said, these are brittle. Even not messing with them too much. Just put these on as best as possible. Now, with that being said, when you pulled the cover off, these are the bolts that hold it down. It's not really bolts, just sort of like a slide over a nut right here on these sides. So when you put the cover back on, you want to make sure you get it on those. So obviously, again, one-handed. Trying to work it in here. You can see you can see where it's going to suction onto this. So let me just place it, push it down, wiggle it, make sure it's nice and snug. Ain't going to come up on you. That being said, we just changed the 4 spark plugs and complete. Just trying to make this as quick and easy as possible for you. And then what we need to remember to do is, of course, to put our negative battery terminal back on. Go ahead and tighten that bolt back up. Make sure it's snug. Alright, so with that being said, battery terminal is back on and tight. Cover is back on and tight. Remember, just to recap, we removed this by simply pulling up on the front right side and the back left side off of two, they're not nuts, but they're held in by a couple rubber grommets. So once we pull that off, then what we do is take out the 10mm bolts on each spark plug. And when we take those out, we pull out each rod. Okay. And then we pull out our spark plug using a 5/8 inch spark plug socket with an extension. Pull our new spark plugs back in, tighten them up with the torque wrench at 14 foot-pounds per one. Then we put our rods back in, and then we put our 10mm bolts back in each one and connect our electrical connector to each one. Replace the rubber grommet over the two metal parts I showed you. Then reconnect the negative battery terminal. Easy as that. You're done. You got new spark plugs. While you're here, like and subscribe for other videos coming up in the future for simple do-it-yourselves and tips or tricks or solutions I have found for things I'm doing around the house. Thank you. Have a great one. This is Richie Rich, aka Gold Pinky Toe.